Now You See Me 2. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. In this video we are going to be reviewing Now You See Me 2, which is the sequel and continuation from the first Now You See Me, and is really interesting as it's often referred to as Now You See Me the second act, which is really interesting as the director wanted to call it Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Now as far as the sequel is concerned, it is bigger, more grander, more elaborate, more secret identities and more villains in this movie, and it also takes it on a more global scale than the first movie. It's a real shame that the Isla Fisher character and actress couldn't return, as she was obviously pregnant at the time, but you know, that being said, all of the other characters come back, which really does make it a really nice continuation. And like I said, there are also some new characters in there that just make it a lot more bigger and a lot more expansive, which is really, really cool, and I cannot wait to break it down for you in this movie review. So from a storyline point of view, this film is set 18 months after the ending of the first movie, and the four horsemen are eagerly awaiting their next mission and their next assignment, and in that time they have also got a new member in their ranks as well. They do explain what happens to the Isla Fisher character and how this new character is introduced, but you know, that being said, when they do get their new assignment, they have to stop and expose a corrupt cyber CEO, and while they are doing this, which by the way is a really, really cool sequence, they are stopped and exposed themselves, which then suddenly leads them to finding themselves in Macau in China, and they are then embroiled in a new scheme where they are quite literally fighting for their lives, and they are being used for all of their magicry and trickery, and some old villains have returned that are hoping to settle a few scores. Now from a positive point of view, like I said, this is a lot more elaborate than the first movie was. It's also got some pretty mind-blowing and enjoyable sequences, which is truly Now You See Me at its greatest. It's also got some pretty layered characters, and you find out a lot more about a lot of characters' backstories in this movie as well, and you also get to see the conclusion and resolution of some of the storylines that they left hanging at the end of the first movie, and it's also got plenty of twists and turns in its own right as well. That being said, there are some negatives in this movie as well, and as great as it just doesn't have the same enjoyment, wonder and fun like the first movie had. You know, this is a great movie in its own right. I just feel like the first movie is just a lot stronger, slicker and smoother, but you know, that being said, from a storyline point of view, the sequel is pretty awesome. So from a casting characters point of view, it's really brilliant, as all of the casting characters bar one came back from the first movie, which is just so great from a continuation point of view, and they also have some new characters added into the mix as well. So let's go through them one by one. So first up we have Jesse Eisenberg, who is still playing the leader, arrogant type character in this movie. I'd say he's got less to do in this movie than the first one, but you know, that being said, his presence and his magical abilities is still being felt in this movie. Next up we have Harrelson, who is so great in this movie, and actually this time he's playing two characters. So not only is he the hypnotist that we know and love from the first movie, he's also playing his brother, who also has the same abilities, but it's just a very different type of character. So you can just tell that the Harrelson actor just had such a blast playing these two different type of characters. Next up we have the Franco character, who's still got his brilliant sleight of hand magicry, and this time that is being shared between all of the other characters in this film. Also the hypnotism ability from the Harrelson character is also being experimented by the Franco character. He's also got his own love interest this time as well with the new character. Speaking of which, we have Lizzy Caplan being the newest member as part of the Four Horsemen. They do explain why Isla Fisher / Henley is not there anymore, and that's actually really, really great. But also this character is just bringing a lot more energy, a lot more edginess, and is a very different type of character to what Isla Fisher was doing. So she's less of a replacement and a replication, and actually is definitely doing her own thing, which is really, really great as well. Next up we have Daniel Radcliffe, who is playing Michael Caine's son in this movie. He is a very crazy and spoiled character, and definitely causes a lot of mayhem for the Four Horsemen. Next up we have Mark Ruffalo, who is back as the leader of the Four Horsemen while still being in the FBI as well. So it's really interesting, as this time the audience knows what this character is doing and his secret identity. So it's really interesting seeing how this is going to play out with the FBI members. We also have Morgan Freeman, who is returning and is still in jail like he was at the end of the first movie. So he still has a score to settle with the Mark Ruffalo character, as he tricked him into being imprisoned at the end of that film. We also have Michael Caine returning in this movie as well, and he also has his own score to settle, as the 4 horsemen wiped out his bank account and gave it to all of the audience members in the first movie. We also have Chou, who is being introduced in this movie. He is a magical shop owner. When the characters are sent to China, they visit this character, and actually this character is going to get his own spin-off in the future, which is really, really cool. But from a cast and characters point of view overall, Now You See Me 2 is pretty awesome. So from a visuals point of view, this is definitely where the Now You See Me franchise comes into its own, and this movie is definitely no different, as all of the magical aspects in this movie look really, really cool. Definitely a lot of sleight of hand happening, very much on a grander scale than the last one, as it's a lot more global. But that being said, I really did miss all of the stage show aspects in the first one, as that is truly where all of the wonder, magic and enjoyment and theatrical abilities are happening on stage, and as there's none of that in this movie, it's a little bit of a shame. I mean, they do have their own version of that in the streets in the final act of this movie, but that being said, it's not the same as the first movie was. But that being said, it is a lot more of a global movie in this movie, which is really, really cool. And so from a visuals point of view overall, Now You See Me 2 is also pretty strong. In terms of comparisons, I did actually prefer the first Now You See Me movie, as I thought that was a lot more epic, a lot more enjoyable, and I was really having my jaw on the floor throughout the entire movie. But that being said, I think this movie is still a lot stronger than Ocean's 12, Ocean's 13, Ocean's 8, Hustlers, The Hustle, Money Plane. I think it's such a great heist thriller movie. I just don't think it's as strong as the first movie was. So overall, I have to say I really, really enjoyed Now You See Me 2. It had a brilliant continuation from the first movie, some awesome twists and turns. I do think the first movie is still a lot stronger, but that being said, it is still a brilliant, elaborate, awe-inspiring, awesome movie that is a really great continuation from the first film. I love the fact that all of the characters came back, bar one of them, and all of the visuals in this movie were really, really cool. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in the third installment and in the spin-off as well, which I think is going to be absolutely awesome. But as far as this movie is concerned, I have to give it a solid 6.5 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.